And I'm going live. How is it, everyone? Thank you for tuning in. Today, as the title would suggest, I'm going to be going over shops, NPC shops, things that I made for my players. I didn't like the base game's stores and the options of them. I think I've said it before on a previous stream. One of the things the DM had done in the last game that I played where I was a player. This was back in January. The DM allowed the players to just have free reign at the store. It's like if you have the money, you can buy whatever is in the book. And so these guys were buying magic items left, right, and center if they had the money to buy them. And it was just like, what? What? Now, also, in this game that we were playing, it was what I call video game gold, where it's like 1,000 gold pieces doesn't mean anything. Like 1,000 gold pieces is the equivalent to $1. So your character should ideally walk around with 200,000 gold in your pocket, and everything's all fine and hunky dory. And I was like, that's dumb. Niraj is here. Hi, Niraj. Shopping spree. That's, yeah, right. And it's like, okay, you could just buy anything. And you also have to walk around with, thousands of pounds of gold in your pocket. Now, I think Dungeons and Dragons, their metric for the gold weight is effectively like, what is it? 0.2 pounds per piece of gold. So each gold coin you have is 0.2. So if you have 5 gold pieces, that's 1 pound. Which, okay, most players that I've seen, most DMs don't care about that. They just completely throw that out the window. But this gets to the crux of my thought process with the stores is, all right, I want to come up with my own stores for the players to interact with, get involved with. And I was just talking to my brother the other day about this with his game, because he was falling into one of the early traps that I had fallen into with coming up with my own crafting system and coming up with a store. And he was adding multiple layers of crafting to the thing. And so it's like, all right, first step is you got to get the mineral. Once you have the mineral, you have to craft the mineral into a pipe. Once you have a pipe, you got to have 5 pipes to craft it into a irrigation system. Once you have the irrigation system, you can then craft potions. And it was like, I was telling him, I was like, I would not do that. I would stay away from that, just giving you my experience on it. And he thought about it, and he was like, yeah, you're probably right. And I was like, yeah, like if the players want to make something that's elaborate, like say a boat, they want to build a boat. All right, you gate them based on how long it takes to make that. You don't gate them based on like, hey, I'm going to make it so they have to collect 100,000 units of wood, and every 10 units of wood is 1 plank. And then once they put enough planks together, they make the frame of the boat. And then they got to collect 200 units of metal, and every 10 units of metal is a door hinge. Like, no. Mirage, step 1, collect underpants. Step 2. Step 3, form a corporation. So I was telling him about this, and yeah, that's been one of my peeves. Tamias, or as I call him Tamias, but Benefactor. I've seen his store. He goes with like a very simplistic store. Okay, it has like the bare essentials. because he wants you to explore the world. He wants you to be involved in the NPCs. He wants you to be engaged in his game. And that's where you find all the little secret knickknacks and things that you wouldn't find at the store. He is another one who, I want to say the first game of his I did, it was video game gold. And then I think his games thereafter might have changed the gold value, so they're a little bit more realistic. You know, in my games, I think I've said this before, in my games, 1 gold piece is a lot of money. Okay, you might tip someone 1 gold piece, but that's like tipping someone a $50. You're like, here you go, $50, you know, or maybe $20, depending on what era, depending on inflation. All right, so like tipping someone 1 gold piece, it's not absurd, but it's not done by the common folk who aren't adventurers. Okay, and tipping someone 1 gold piece isn't going to destroy someone's economy, like a local area's economy. It might actually sustain them. It might help them. Tipping someone 20 gold pieces or 10 gold pieces is going to wreck someone's economy. So that's little dynamics that I like to add to my world and add to my environments. So when I came up with my own store and shops, I wanted it to go hand in hand with the crafting system. And the crafting system is so that the players can do things. They have access to things that I might not let them have if I'm like keeping them from a store, a town, if they can't access those things. In my first game, I gave the players a town as a base of operations, but I was learning very quickly the players wanted to leave town. They didn't want to be in the town. So it's like, okay, then they want to go open world. They want to explore everywhere. And where they're located on the map is in the middle of nowhere. So they were in a small little town out off the beaten path, and the nearest major city was probably 1,000 miles away, and all of the other towns weren't really marked on the map, so they had no idea where they could go. So it's like, okay, if this is the environment they're in, then the players are going to need to be able to sustain themselves and craft for themselves, because they're looking to rely on themselves, not a town. Maybe they'll rely on some people that they cross paths with. That could also be their mentality. Well, so design the crafting system, design the store system. I highly recommend, if you are designing a crafting system, design a store. The store has to be put up, because it sets a standard for the players to understand what the market is willing to trade and exchange for the various items and products. So if your item costs 5,000 gold to make, your player is going to look at that and say, okay, if I try selling this for 10,000 gold, who's going to buy it? Like, who's in the market for buying a 10,000 gold item? And it will be difficult it should be difficult for them to sell that, unless you're using video game money. If you're using video game money, then 10,000 gold is chump change. You know, it's like, who cares? It's 10,000 gold. I need 50,000 gold to make my goal. You know, so it's okay. I got to spend 25,000 gold to make 5 suits, so that I can make 50,000 gold selling them at 10,000 a pop. You know, and again, you get to these inflated numbers, and just to me as a person, I look at that and say, that's a ridiculous amount of money. That's insane. There's no reason for that. All right, so I'm going to go through. I think I'm going to show off, because it's my newest and up to date. It's what I'm using right now for the Star Wars game, so I think I'll use that. Makes sense that I would use whatever I'm using currently. Let me get this thing up here so you guys can see it. Let's try this. I've never done this before, so let's see how this looks. Tab. Boom. Okay. All right. I can't move that because this is dumb. I'm trying to move my thing and it won't let me. All right. Oh well. All right. So let's just do this. All right. So this is my general crafting for my Star Wars game. And I'll run through it real quick. As you can see at the very top here, we have minerals and metals. It's been recently updated to also include bone. Bone is a mineral, if you didn't know that. So we have copper, aluminums, irons, steels, and bone. And then I have a list of them here. Now you might be like, well, why are there so many? And these are all like canonical to Star Wars, all of these different types. So I just put them in there. Just here's the metals and alloys. And then what I do is when I roll them, if the players go to mining, in this case, they'll go mining, or if they open a loot crate, I can roll a die based on how many there are. And I can just randomly decide, like, hey, give me 2d6. They roll 2d6. The first die is a 2, and the next die is a 5. So I go 1, 2. All right, they get conductive, bore carbatice, copper, and then they get 4 or 5 units of it. And that's like, boom, there you go. I also might say, right here we have 12. So I might say roll 1d12. They roll 1d12 and it lands on a 6. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, they got Kelch copper. And then I say roll 1d4, 1d8, because they rolled a 10 or they rolled a 12 on their mining check. Maybe they roll a nat 20. All right, give me 2. Excuse me. Give me 2d8 or give me 3d6. And then whatever it is, that's how many they got. In my Fair End Times game, I actually allowed them to roll multiples on these tables. They were able to do, I was able to give them like, okay, give me the mining check first. Then they roll the skill check. And I had it so that basically every 5 above 10 gave them an extra die. And that die they could allocate to any resource as long as it's in the field of mining. So they could say, I want to have 1d6 on copper, 1d6 on aluminum, and then 2d6 on iron because I need iron. So I'm going to focus on iron. And these things I would call the expeditions. So I would ask the players when they were on their ship, I would say, do you guys want to do an expedition? Or they would tell me, we have to do an expedition. All right. Then I send them on their way to do their expedition, and that was determined based on their role. Expeditions, I would have it so they could only do it once per day. They could only do an expedition once per day. Because it's an expedition. It's basically a hunter-gathering party. And I would let them, it wouldn't just be mining. They could, like, each of the players, they would allocate and decide what are they going to gather. So, okay, you guys are going to get food. You guys are going to get mining. You guys are going to get dust. And they would all have their own little thing that they were going after. I said dust. That might confuse some people. In that world, it's a fantasy world. And one of the dust, or there are different types of dust you could collect, like arcane dust. There was mana dust. and there were like enchanted dust. There were just different types of powders that you could collect, and you could use those powders to enchant weapons or blacksmithing. You could use it to enchant magic spells. You could use it for enchanting books. They could do all kinds of things with it. So there was a reason to actually collect the dust. Some instances they need to collect water, so there were different hydrogens they could collect. Either well, it wouldn't be hydrogen; it'd be liquid, so it'd be like oil, or it'd be water, or it'd be I don't remember off the top of my head now. I'm thinking about it now that I brought it up. So yeah, I have these different things up, and then here's something I have. This is particular to the Star Wars game. This is the first time I've done something like this because it's applicable to Star Wars. So these are basically the general price ranges. These are the general price ranges. Can I don't think I can. Right, there we go. There we go. So we have this is the planet location or the region location in Star Wars. So the deep core, the core worlds, colonies, inner. The players are right now in my game in the mid rim. They're on Kashyyyk. So for Kashyyyk, minerals are about an average price. Gems and crystals are high. So this is like one of the, well, there's obviously several places, but this is one of the many high locations, high cost or high expense of buying gems and crystals. It's not an easy thing. They're very much in high demand. Then you have food, which is generally low everywhere, just because of trade routes and the ability to get there. Wild space, absolutely. It's you can get some good. You can make a good bargain at an average price with it. So if someone needs fuel, you'd be willing to trade food for it. If someone needs repair supplies and you have food, you can trade with it. And the deep core is relatively uninhabited, which is why food is a high demand there, because there's only known in Star Wars like 3 planets in the core, in the deep core. There's probably more just by the nature of science, but in Star Wars, what we know so far is there's only like 3 planets. And then obviously in the unknown region, which there could be plenty of food in the unknown region. The unknown region is huge, and there's plenty of planets out there. It's just, in the known Star Wars galaxies, we don't know anything about them. Fabrics, they're low pretty much everywhere except for, again, in the wild space. No one really needs fabric in wild space, but if you have it, it could be useful because you never know. It's not out in wild space. There is no fabric in wild space. You bring whatever fabric you have with you, and you're more likely, if you need fabric, you're more likely to kill someone just to take their clothes for that source of fabric. And then also a deep core, no fabric. And then chemicals. Chemicals have their price. And then we get to cost range. I have a formula here. This is the formula I use. It only works for Star Wars. It might work for some other game, but for Star Wars and its value of credit system, this works for my game. It's modified and adjusted to fit my game and the prices of my stuff. So for a high cost item, I have a generator in my game that rolls 100 plus 1d20 times 5d6. Okay, which comes out to the highest value potential. So if all of it maxes out, the highest the price something will be is 700 credits per unit. So for one piece of that unit, so let's say one metal in the expansion region, it'd be 700 per unit, which in my game, that's very expensive. That's you're paying through the nose if you're paying 700 credits per unit of metal. Now, you only need typically you only need about 5 units of metal for any given item. Rarely do items require more than 5 units of any metal for anything. So 700 times 5. You're looking at 3,500 credit, or 35,000. Is it 30? I think it's 35,000. Quick math. What did I say? 700 times 5. Yeah, 700 times 5. 3,500. Okay, 3,500. So 3,500 for one item with just metal alone. That's just metal alone. Then we have, for average cost, 4d10 times 5. Highest cost amount would be 200. So it's 200 per unit. That's a little bit better. That's a little arm and a leg, but it's a little bit better. And then low cost, you're at 1d10 times 5 with the highest value being 50. That can be bearable. That you can actually recover your losses from one mission or two in my game, because one mission can give you anywhere between 500 credits to 2,000 credits, depending on the risk and severity. But also depends on how much you're able to negotiate. It also depends on how much money does the planet have. If you're in, well, these guys are finding out on Kashyyyk. Kashyyyk isn't a very well economic planet. One of the major exports from Kashyyyk at this era that we're playing in is slavery. But on top of slavery, Wookiees are actually pretty good with technology. They're pretty experienced with technology. So that they're allowed to use as an exported good. And then we have the average prices. It's just the midpoint. For high, it's 350. For average, it's 100. And for low cost, it's 25. And then at the bottom of the barrel, you're looking at 200 for the high cost, 20 for the low cost, or average cost and low, and then 5 for the low cost at the lowest value. So generally speaking, the players, if they're buying resources, they're in the average range that they're getting. Sometimes, like we can look at, we can actually look at it right here. So we have, these are the current values. So all of these things, if they are on Kashyyyk, so what's high? Gems. So this is technically a good price for gems and crystals if they can afford it. All things considered, it could be up at 700, but it's over here down at 240, which is below the average of 350. Contrast to average price, again, below average. This is a really great roll that they got here. So it's 95 per unit. And then for the low price, you're looking at 20 per unit. So really good price range right there for the players and what they got. All right. And then let's get to the meat and potatoes, because I know you're dying for that part. And sorry if this kills your eyes. Maybe I could brighten this up a little bit. I don't know. How does that look? Does that look pretty good? I don't know. All right. So in this mix mash of items, we have cost. Here's the key thing up here. Let me do this. Change this. Ooh, no. Terrible. That. So we have item. This is the item name, cost, description, weight, resources, and the DC to make it. Okay, so it's the crafting DC. So this is general crafting, if I didn't say that already. So all of these things are effectively under an umbrella. If you have some level of basic crafting, you may know a way to make these things. I also put this under the category of artisan. So if you're an artisan, you can craft almost all of these things, but it's going to be degrees of difficulty. Yeah, if you see here on the right side, some of these like rations here, you can make them as an artisan or a chef. Tailor and artisan can craft this thing. If you notice how the DC is higher, this is for a grappling hook belt. So the artisan has a 10 DC to make it. Tailoring has a 16 DC. So it's incentivizing the players to pick up artisan. Because I mean, you could, if you're a tailor, you can make it if you have a high enough tailoring roll. But if you don't make it, you're out the resources, or potentially out the resources. And so, yeah, I have power packs here, liquid cable dispensers, which the players have been using that as basically a rope. In my game, they've been using that as a rope so that they can ascend and descend certain parts of the map, such as cliffs and things like that. Got surgery kit. Some of these prices are based on the book. The book has some pretty wild pricing of things, so I've adjusted them to be more of my game, and then I use the book as like a guideline to like, okay, it's supposed to be an expensive item or it's supposed to be a cheap item. So that's what I've been using these things for, or that's what I've been using the book as a guide for. And over here, actually, let me point this out. In the crafting or the resource column here, I have metal, gem. You'll note that there isn't any specific copper. There isn't any specific gem, fiberplast. That's because over here on the component section, I use the header, fabrics, chemicals, food, and then I use the category as just a catch-all. So you can make an item, say, with a scaly hide, a scaly fabric, like crocodile skin. You could also do it with leatherly. So you could make it out of bat wings, or you can make it out of cow skin. Woolly, you could shave off a sheep's skin and use that. So that's the gist of this, is that I don't care what you make it out of. Again, I'm simplifying the crafting system, making it very easy for the players to work with. Now, if the players don't want to craft it themselves, they can just buy it. They can just say, hey, I have 100 credits. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm not going to spend all of the money to gather the resources to then make it. I'm just going to buy it outright and I'll be happy. And then this is basically how I do my crafting, but also how I do my stores. I have a chef's thing. The important thing about the chef's one is being able to show and let people buy drinks, because they can, in my games, they're allowed to go to the bar, and I use the price that you would pay at a bar to get these drinks. So some of these things are more expensive than others. I also have it so that to encourage the players to drink. They have buffs. The different drinks have buffs. So they only last 2 hours. I have the DC here if they decide to get drunk or drink an alcoholic beverage. And I try to keep these prices in the realm of being like what we would pay in our world in America. With tea would probably, at least growing up for me, would probably be like $1.50. Now they're probably closer to like $3 or $6, depending what type of tea it is. And some I note with Star Wars when I was looking through the book, they have like this level of inflation. You could tell it's like in Star Wars, like that really isn't that expensive to make. But I can see there's a level of inflation affecting the price tag in the book. So that's just a cute little note when you're making something like this is, do you want to have inflation? Or are you going to make your prices based on wherever the players are located? I don't know what method someone would want to do with that. And then I have the black market. Black market, you have some spices here, some drugs. let the players decide if they want to cook up some drugs. Let them decide. Cartridge of death sticks. I added this specifically for a player. He hasn't used them as far as I know. He used them maybe once, and then I think he stopped playing. I think I was actually, now I'm thinking about it, I think that was a benefactor. He wanted death sticks, and then he stopped playing. Then we have, got some lock fire sand, some Clicknick acid, Trauger gas, Treon gas, null gas, null gas concentrated. Got some plank gas. And if you note, here it's for plank gas, it says Na, which if I do something like that, think of it like the old Pokemon games, where it's like, okay, this is something you have to do something in the world to unlock or find. So you probably have to talk to someone who has expertise or knowledge about in order to get it. It's not something you're going to find willy-nilly. You might find it in like a military facility. So if your characters are brave enough to raid a military outpost, they could possibly find something like that. It should go without saying, all of this stuff is highly illegal in Star Wars. So if your character gets caught with these things, you can get into quite a bit of trouble. And maybe I spoke too soon because I'm seeing the laser saw. That's probably not illegal. A lot of these things would be considered illegal, but most likely if you're bringing them in conjunction with other things, you'll be in trouble. So if they find you with a laser saw along with some breaching charges and some Omni tools and an observer implant, they might say, okay, you're up to some shady business. We're going to arrest you, or we're going to confiscate these things from you. Then I have my recruiters here. These are just a bunch of NPCs that the players can get in their class role. It's their specialty. You got security, assault, security, infiltration, sentry, so they're meant to stand guard. Got bodyguards with the intervene ability, infiltration. And I always have like these little meme characters. probably change this because we found out his name is John. So, and I have a bunch of characters here. And yeah, so these are just a bunch of NPCs that the players can hire to buff their ship. You're in low res. Sorry, bud. I could try. Can I buff it up? Yes. There you go. How does that look there in low res? It's like an old man vision. No, it's something to do with YouTube. It corrects itself after a minute or two. Not sure why. Okay. I can see it fine now. All right, sweet. Good. So, yeah. Just have a bunch of NPCs here that players can purchase. Use them for whatever it is they plan to do. And here I have some faction-based guys. So we have some Imperial Stormtroopers. We got some Rebel pilots, Rebel commandos. And then we have, move on to the next one. We have transportation services. So these are things that players haven't used yet, but it's basically what the expenses are for purchasing any of these things. So if they need to travel from planet to planet, private charter, local travel, system travel, specific destination. So local travel is basically, in Star Wars term, local travel is I'm traveling from one city to another city. It's relatively cheap, as you can see with the price here, 30 credits. Look at it like it's a bus fare. You're taking a bus from point A to point B. It could be from your house down to the supermarket. It could be from your house to your grandma's house in another city. It's relatively cheap to ferry people. Funny enough, you would think public charter would be cheaper, but it actually isn't because of inflation, because of regulations, and because of all of the checks and balances of bringing people and passengers on board your vessels. So it's 150 to effectively ride the bus from one place to another. System travel. Now, this is traveling from one planet to a space station, to a moon, one moon to another moon, or one moon to an asteroid belt, somewhere inside of that system. Both public and private, about the same price. Then you get to specific destination on a public charter. If it's outside of the system or the local, then you're looking to pay a special fee. Generally speaking, you're looking at about 1,000 credits because you're taking them off the beaten path. Private charter, it's generally about 800. Generally, so that these prices can change depending on who you're talking to. If the person likes you, the price can remain the typical amount, or it can go down. If the person doesn't like you, they can jack the price up. Furthermore, you could pull what Obi-Wan Kenobi did in episode 4, where he was able to convince Han Solo, hey, we'll pay you 5,000 now, 15,000 later, or whatever. I forget what the details were. You can actually upsell it and actually bargain and make it worth someone's while. You know, you get what you pay for. Then you have mounted beasts. If someone wants to pay for an animal they want to ride, generally like a medium beast that seats one person, has 50 pounds of cargo. It's a personal, about 100 creds a day. Large beast, 200 creds per day, can seat 2 people. Cargo is 200 to 300 pounds. It's a transport. And then you get another large beast for 200 pounds or 200 per day. Looking at 4-seater, it has cargo capacity of 5 to 10. So that just depends on how many people do you want to be riding these beasts. And then you have speed bikes or speeders, not just bikes, but speeders. So these just have varying weight capacities and what they can carry, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And these things can get expensive, let me tell you. All right. Niraj says Imperial checkpoints cost money. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. For reference, in my Star Wars game, these guys had decided that they were... one of the players had decided that he was going to plant a bomb on Dengar's ship. And effectively, by planting the bomb on Dengar's ship, he had to go through a spaceport security. Once he planted the bomb and had to deal with all of the Imperial entanglements, and the bomb detonated, it had caused the entire city to go on high alert and search for these infiltrators, these people who did it. And well, they had basically had to spend, I think, like 20,000 credits in order to buy the silence of the investigative officer who wanted to check their ship and find out if the fugitives were on board, to find out if they were harboring any weapons or illegal activity, blah, blah, blah. And they were able to just buy the inspector off, but it was at a heavy price. So, and it's always dangerous and risky when you do something like that, because you have no guarantees that the inspector themselves aren't going to backstab you anyway. So, yes, Imperial checkpoints do cost money. All right. So, that is this game's system here. What I'll do is, let me see if I can bring up... I don't know if I've done it before. If I brought up my DC/Vertigo shop before. That system is a little bit different. That system it's in the modern age. So being in the modern age, it's going to have different things you can do. I don't really have a crafting system for my DC Vertigo game. The players don't really do crafting in that. They spend more time doing investigations and supernatural hunting and monster hunting and things like that. If I could find it, where the hell did I put it? Yeah. Hilariously enough, I have it called Cipher Crafting. I hope no one's hungry. I hope no one is hungry, because let's share this tab. All right. And right here off the gate, we have, this is the base of operations for the players. It's called the Viper Pit. They have, this is like what's on their menu. They have burgers, hot dogs, sausage, corn dog, hot pocket. I do some of these things. I have some of these things named kind of funny, like, the sausage dog or the fast hot dog. They're named kind of funny because of where they're located. And also it's sort of like a play on one of the things DC Comics does because of copyrights. They like bastardize the names of places. So they came up with like Big Belly Burger. And I forget some of the other examples. So I was, excuse me, I was following that type of theme. So like you have the King Cheeseburger, Baconator, Big Mac, chicken strips, 12-piece chicken, French fries, Egg McMuffin, pizza pie, pizza rolls, beef taco, vegan taco, sub hoagie sandwich. I compromised with them on that. I was like, no, it's a hoagie. They're like, no, it's a sub. No, hoagie. So, and then they had to, it was mandatory. They wanted grits. They wanted grits on the menu. So they got grits. Then we have drinks. Got some water, soda, coffee, tea, sweet tea, milkshake, fruit smoothie, hot chocolate, milk, juice, beer, whiskey, tequila, bourbon, rum, wine, moonshine, and champagne. And then over here on the right side, you have single cost and then bottle. So they sell $200 a $200 bottle of champagne. And I'm not sure how necessarily expensive or how good their whiskey is. It's only $30. So I might need to talk to him about that and decide, hey, you guys probably want to get better whiskey. Go for like at least a $90 bottle of whiskey. Like your customers just a little bit. All right, then we have for them, we got their trade section. So we got some herbs with dream root, wolf's bane, cypress mint, devil's shoestring, and tobacco. And each of these things, the players can use them for crafting. I think I brought up last week, maybe just a little bit, or the week before. Some of the abilities that the players have, they can use these things to power those abilities. So these are resources that, when you're casting a magic spell, you need to have these things in order to cast the spell. They're the fundamental ingredients to the spell. And sometimes they can come across these things in the wild, and if they do, there's a harvest amount should they succeed. Fruits, we have apples, a bunch of apples, grapes, oranges, a crate of oranges, strawberry, watermelon. Got some vegetables, potatoes, bunch of potatoes, tomatoes, bundle of tomatoes, spinach, corn cob, bag of corn cobs. I got trade goods, loaf of bread, can of salt, peanut butter, jelly, bag of peanuts, barrel of pretzels, mayo, jar of pickles, MREs, meal ready to eat, horseradish. You'd be surprised how many spells require horseradish, or what you can do with horseradish, I should say. Chips, soda, 2 liters, soda can, bag of soda. I probably want to put in there, I don't know, like a 12-pack of soda. Maybe I should put that, like a case of soda. Maybe I should put that in there sometime. You know what? You guys are going to get to see me do that right now. So this is a great example of, okay, 12-pack soda. Go with, based on where they're located. Let's see. Should be 24. Let's go with 16. So could buy 1 soda for $2, or you could buy 12 sodas for 16. That's marketing. Bag of candy, $2. See, I would have thought that some of the players would have gotten like a bag of candy in case they came across some kids. You never know. Also, if you come across some of the like gremlins or gnomes or elves, you could always like sweet talk them with some candy, some sweets. Sometimes a demon will bite on the candy too, if they're a gluttonous demon. Then you have hardware like crowbars, shovels, pickaxe, brooms. It was funny. It was great. I want to say Winston was one of them. He was like, I got to get a tarp. I got to get a shovel and a pickaxe to do some digging in a cemetery. Supernatural Hunting 101. I think he even made the comment, you know, on TV, they make digging up graves look so easy. Bolt cutters, hacksaw, gasoline can, laser pointer, lubricating oil, fishing wire, fishing rod. Did I put batteries on here? Oh, let's put some batteries on there. Batteries. I'm only going to add the, let's do pack of batteries. Go with $4. Has 4 batteries. I'm going to take this, copy it, paste it. AAA. And do that. What is it? The D batteries are the big fat ones. Is that right? Pack of D batteries. And this one we're going to put at 12. They're heavy guys. All right. And yeah, for this one, if it isn't obvious, I try to keep these prices in the vicinity of what's real life. And then if there's something that's off, that's location based. So like where I live, pack of D batteries, 4-pack, would probably be around $6 to $8. The last time I was there, it was about $6 to $8, which was about 4 or 5 years ago that I've actually looked at batteries to see what the prices are. So they could have gone up since then. Very, very, very likely given today's economy. But I'm in the ballpark. If the players are looking at that and saying, oh, that's expensive, they're able to rationalize it and say, well, everything else is kind of cheap and where I expect it. To see something that's expensive is sort of like, okay, that's a location thing. It's because we're out in the middle of nowhere. And, you know, the supplies isn't quite there like it would be in an inner city where they have constant stock of coming in and out of their store. We got some gun supply here. This is from the gun store. Got ammo box, some extra ammo, incendiary ammo, tranquilizer ammo, tracer ammo, rubber ammo, rock salt ammo, silver ammo. You know, quantity 50 bullets. In this game, I didn't really track ammo. The key thing I told the players is that if they got a GM intrusion on an attack with a gun or so, I could make them have to reload. And if they don't have the boxes of ammo or they don't have whatever it is that they require for their weapon, then they can't use the weapon. So they made sure to carry like 1 to 3 boxes of ammo on them at all times, just under the circumstances that they may run out of ammo. Gadgets and attachments. And you can see like these things have just different things they do. This is a little bit more detailed than the generic trade. The generic trade, like a lot of the stuff is just straightforward what it does. This is going to be a little bit more gameplay based. Oh, we have OMG, it's the land of the cholesterol. Yes. Yes. And then we have Big Belly Burger, a division of LexCorp. I don't think they're a division of LexCorp. I know you're probably joking. Devil's Shoestring or Devil Shoestring. I believe it's Devil's Shoestring. It's a play on the S. And he's like, the possibilities. Oh, yeah. I took that as a serious question. Then we have Smith & Wesson handcuffs. Got some laser dot, an LED compact. We have the Dragon. Halo sight. Better iron sights. The bigger, better suppressor. I usually, if I can have the bigger, better suppressor in any of my games, I put the bigger, better suppressor. I'll actually, if I show you guys the Rainbow Six one, you'll get a chance to see that one has the bigger, better suppressor. And then I threw in some guns in here. You know, I got the Walther PP, the Springfield XD, Colt Revolver, Glock 19, Beretta 92, FN 57, Glock 26, MNP 40, Colt Python Revolver, M1911A3, Desert Eagle 50, Desert Eagle 357, Glock 22, USP 45, P10. And then shotguns. You know, this is this game was based out in Montana. So a lot of the stuff that they could have access to was questionable what they could actually have access to. But their contact was he was an Indian character, a Native American. And he definitely exploited the fact that what's it called? Their business exploited the fact that they could get away with stuff that most American citizens couldn't in terms of what they could sell. Then we had rifles here. It's a mixture of things. So we have the lever action 30 by 30, several Rugers. Because again, it's like Montana in the middle of fucking nowhere. Plenty of hunters out there. So they were looking like, okay, here are several of the things that you'd probably use if you're out there just for hunting or home defense. Take your pick. I got some submachine guns. These are just fun things. Let the players decide if they wanted to mess around with some of the fun guns. We go to Cybertech. Here I have some, originally, when they first started the game, there were some Easter eggs here with Stark Industry laptops. And you get some Sony laptops. You get some Wayne Tech laptops. BeetleWat laptops. And then you have eMac. And you got some desktops, some Stark, some Sony Kaiju, LexCorp, Wayne Tech, Queen Industries, Palmer Tech, Stag Tech. These are all references to just different companies and characters in the DC universe. So when I pitched the game to the players, it was a supernatural-based game. So it's like, okay, you're playing in the supernatural field of DC Comics in the Vertigo sphere, but you're still in the sphere where Superman exists. You're still in the sphere where Lex Luthor, Bruce Wayne, Oliver Queen, they exist. So for them to see like these little character references. Some of the players got it. Some of them, well, I'd say most of them didn't. I'd say maybe 2 of them picked up like, hey, I know. Well, I think everyone knew Wayne Tech. Everyone knew Wayne Tech. But some people were like, oh, hey, look, Queen or Palmer. Like those are, I know those names. And then you have just basic items like USB devices. And these are things that the different players could use for the various missions. In some cases, when they were dealing with criminals, not supernatural monsters, but criminals, they would need things like a hard drive or a USB device to plug into a computer to download files and then take those files and give them to the police. And then here's some phones that they could have. That's, I think I brought that up before. One of the fascinating and fun parts of playing in a modern age is the cell phone uses. As the players were doing their gameplay, they were able to use cell phones, and it was great. It was fantastic letting them be able to text each other like throughout the week. When we weren't playing, I had a channel in my Discord where the players were able to text back and forth. So I called it the text message channel, and they were just role playing throughout the week. Like, oh, I'm doing my job, my 9-to-5 job. Like one of them was a farmer, another was a cop. And so they're texting like, hey, I'm just running a lab sample right now. It was really fun. It was really fun. 10 out of 10. I highly recommend everyone at least get some experience as a DM, get some experience running a modern age campaign, and let them have cell phones. Encourage them to use their cell phones. Because one of the things they would do with their cell phones, by the way, would be they could take their cell phone out and take pictures of things. And if they had those pictures, I gave them a fast lane track of, hey, you can just show someone a picture and they can get it. They can understand what's going on. It was also a way in this particular game, they could find some irregularities because certain creatures can't be seen by cameras. They can't be seen through the naked eye either. So a camera can show you where your eyes can't, or your eyes can see something and the camera can't, like a vampire. A regular camera can't pick up a vampire. A vampire will come up invisible unless there is silver laced in that camera's lens, or that's a camera made out of silver. Then it can pick up a vampire. I don't make these rules. I don't criticize me. I can hear people screaming at me. I don't make these rules. I don't. It's the lore. What does the lore say? Follow the lore. Then we have drugs. I think I've talked about these before in my games because one of the players, Lady Potato's character, Blair, she was a druggie, and she would use drugs to astro project, to leave her body, to have these emotional and spiritual journeys. And some of these have some drawbacks to them. So like for 1 hour, attempts to manipulate your mind are hindered. So that seems pretty nice. These are like the less, these aren't as harmful as some of the other drugs. And then you have your illegal drugs here. Your hallucinating mushrooms, your cocaine baggie, your marijuana, your meth. And these things have some pretty nasty damage they can do to you. So, yeah. Maybe I should. Oh, no, she's probably driving. Going to be driving. find out if my friend is driving, because maybe I'll invite her on. Be like, hey, do you wanna hop on? I don't know. Maybe she would want to. Here's some odd things that I put in here. Some Vaseline skin bottle. Give you some skin treatment. I want to say they got that for one of the NPCs. I forget which, but they got it for one of the NPCs because he had like really dry skin. And so one of them wanted to be nice to him, be like, here, have some skin lotion. Poison ivy relief, some sunburn relief, cough drops, sunscreen, foot cream, icy hot, disposable heating pads. I think that's another one I think Winston got. He got some disposable heating pads because he's like, you never know when you're cold. Some vitamin gummies, chloroform bottle. Technically, I don't think you can actually get chloroform bottles, but I put the price tag here because if you come across one, blood bags are another one that you're not going to be able to just go out and buy them. The one character, which if she's again, if she hops on, she's the lady I'm just talking about. If she hops on, she could probably articulate that. She had her character was a vampire, and she had to she wanted to come up with an excuse as to how she needed to keep having blood. And so she kept saying her character has lupus, and she would have her friends in the hospital file out a prescription for her for a blood bag. So one of the perks I gave her was that once a day she can pick up a blood bag, and the blood bags would heal you. That's what a recovery die is. So she would have a few of these blood bags on her. In the event she took a lot of damage, she could heal and recover and survive. What else do we have? Mystical. Okay, here's where we get into some more freaky stuff. Here we have healing stones, healing beads, prayer beads, Holy Bible, Holy Quran, Holy Torah, Book of Kami, Book of Buddhism, Book of Hinduism, Book of Christianity, Book of Judaism, Book of Islam, Book of Norse gods, Book of Greek gods, Book of Egyptian gods, Book of Druidism, Book of Wicca, Holy Water, Wooden Stake. It's actually 3 wooden stakes. And you get some silver ammo. Allows you to inflict weapon damage based damage to supernatural beasts. Celtic protection necklace. Claromancy dice set. Rune stones. Tarot deck. I think I've already gone over the tarot deck with you guys before on a previous stream. We have the Hand of Glory. We have the Virgin Silver Bowl. Virgin Clay Bowl. A Luigi board. A dream catcher, lucky rabbit's foot, pentagram necklace, pentagram earrings, devil branding iron rod, a magic 8-ball, magical top hat, magical wand, black, magical tablecloth, magic handkerchief, magic lock and key, D&D dice set, trick bow tie, trick flowers, trick yo-yo, slinky, playing card deck, communication stones. That is a reference. That is a reference to my first game where their cell phones were these rocks that were enchanted and they could communicate with each other through the rocks. One moment. Then we have scented candles, birds, human skull, plastic. And then, don't forget, we have Bargeist ashes. They could be used in certain spells. There's a human skull, preserved, reptile bone, cat bone, bird bone, scented. I already said scented candles. Kumis blood mixture, and Calpus. Both these things can be beneficial, maybe. Oh, and the Holy Hand Grenade. Can't forget the Holy Hand Grenade. Deals 12 damage to unholy creatures in an immediate area. Half as much damage to non-unholy creatures. Just make sure when you count down the throw, you do not miss a number. And we have the thieves' tools, which, lockpick tools, lockpick gun, automatic lockpick, car lockpick gun, electric pen lockpick, car signal cloner, professional glass knife, hacking PDA, safecracker tools, can of fog. You never know if you need to create a smoke screen. Blue plastic surgeon gloves, because you want to maintain your anonymity. White rubber surgeon gloves. Again, maintain your anonymity. Fingerprint ink strips. That's to steal people's fingerprints. Fingerprint dust. That's if you decide to dust for prints. Nylon rope, 100 feet. Climber kit. Cable ties. Thermal drill. Suction-mounted auto drill. C4 plastique explosives. TNT sticks. Thermal powder. Thermal paste can. Electronic jackhammer. Bagger case, which has human body bags. Loot bags, which is meant for carrying up to 12, or possible capable of carrying up to 12 gold bricks. Tow cable, which is 25 feet. ECM, electro countermeasure, or electronic countermeasure, I'm sorry. Crime.net. That is a special organization. That's a Payday 2 reference, or a Payday 1 and Payday 2 reference. A wireless ear radio. A wired camera snake. Camera feedback loop. Security feed tap. Canister of sleeping gas. Tank of sleeping gas. And then these are a bunch of things that the thief player, she could sell if she had acquired them. And I had a different value here based on if she sold them during its stealth or if she sold them during loud. Basically, if an item is stolen without it being known that it's stolen until it's too late, all is good. If it's stolen and it's announced, then it's a hot good, and no one wants to pay for hot goods. It's like someone commits a murder with a weapon, a very specific weapon, let's say an AR-15, and then suddenly you're looking to sell this hotbed item in an area that's, just had this murder happen. So people aren't going to be inclined to want to buy that AR-15. Well, the same rule applies here. So it's like, okay, you could steal a painting and make a $10,000. I should change this to art painting, because it's not just specifically stealth. Yeah. So art painting at stealth value, you're looking at about $10,000 $10,000. If it's known that the art painting is stolen, then it's about a $500 value. Likewise, a server, $1,200 versus $800. Now, some of these you might look at and say, yeah, it's nothing. But like here, you have a government server, $250. That's a lot of money versus $1,000. So, it's hit or miss how much you're looking at making. What is your character looking at profiting when they're pulling off their heist? I have it here. Pistols, unmarked. They're always good. If you have some unmarked pistols, fantastic. If you have marked pistols and you sneak them out, awesome. If you can't sneak them, their value is going to dramatically go down. Got scrolls. These are things that you could get in like a museum. Scrolls, grimoire, stone tablet, jewelry piece. And then there are other things they could get, like when they're robbing some druggies, they could actually get some drugs. They can actually loot some of the drugs and sell the drugs. Yeah, there's quite a bit they could have done in this game. Oh, you're missing the Inquisition. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. I know you didn't say Spanish Inquisition, but I added it in there because it belongs. All right, then I had fast food. I put the little warning label up here. Fast food warning. Do not read unless you already have food. And it's basically everything that I just previously went over. I basically just copy and paste it because, why do double the work? Then we have my shop in Nida Vecleur. This was a Norse mythological area. And this lore that I have, I set this up as this is where a bunch of creatures and supernatural monsters go to actually do trade and commerce. This is the realm of the dwarves in Norse mythology. And everyone basically goes here for trading of all kinds of things. So let's go over some of the things you could find in Nida Vecleur, which is a Dovry stone, a Minotaur horn, nymph water vial, unicorn horn, toenail fragment of the Naglfar, fairy dust, dream dust, succubus love fluid. I'll let you guess what that is. Breath of Hades, pearly tooth, a human ear, which is a Diablo reference, human eye, human heart, human brain, human lung, human tongue, human stomach, Huldra tail, a kitsune tail, a kitsune pelt, a striga venom, siren flipper, siren song, witch eyeball, fingernails of a ghoul, vampire blood, Saru river water. Saru is blessed water from the Saru River in Japan. The Sanzu River water, which is another river. Sanzu no Kawa River. I believe that's another place in Japan. Miramano mossballs. We can actually get those in our world. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, for some reason, that's a trade value in Nida Vecleur. Gut right food, gut right fortune, gut right rest. A Musojin shaman ritual for a food offering, a Musojin shaman ritual for a fortune offering, and a Musojin shaman ritual for a rest offering. Oh, then we have some of these other things. These are actual ciphers that you can get. So tissue regeneration, visage changer, vocal translator, wings, telepathy, speed boost, stim, strength boost, repeater, shock, and I'm not going to go over the rest. So yeah, these are a bunch of cool things that they could get. They were pretty expensive, and I put the value here in money. But I told the players that is effectively the money value. You could outright buy whatever it is you're trying to get. But if you're looking at the price and saying that's too expensive, consider trading something of value that is in the ballpark of that expense. So if you have a $3,000 shotgun, you could consider trading the $3,000 shotgun for this toenail fragment of the Naglfar if you need it. Okay, and now let me bring up my other one. 5E. What did I call it? Knowing myself, I probably called this just crafting, which it looks like I did. Okay, let's do this. Let me rename this. Okay. So now let me share. Let me share this. And a lot of this should look relatively familiar. But we have herbalism and survival. Both are wisdom based. Have up here at the top, based on your herbalism roll, you can get between 10 and 19, you get 2 dice. 20 and 29, you get 3 dice. 30 and 35, 4 dice. 36 to 45 dice. And above 41, you get 6 dice. And you get to choose how you want to allocate your dice. All right, so got green leaf, red leaf, blue leaf, leek vine, and gold petal. Those are your plants. Then you got for fruits, strawberry, watermelon, orange, apple, and a cluster of grapes. Vegetables, you got head of lettuce, corn cob, spinach, potato. Materials, you got timber, logs, cotton, and silk. And I have over here, I have the weight of them, the quantity on a DC roll of 10. And then if you have an expedition, there's another value here on how many you find. And this it gets a little bit, these values get pretty simple. I know it looks a little complicated. It's also not formatted very pretty. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit for you. Okay. That might be a little bit better visually. For this one, I should note, for my Star Wars, I have them all on different sheets. I pair them up in like, okay, I put entertainer with tailoring. I put weaponsmith on its own, armorsmith on its own. Droid engineering, I pair droid engineering and I think cybernetics. So I pair them up. For this one, they're all on the same sheet. So they're all in the same file. So when my players go to do shopping, it's all consolidated. It's a one-stop thing. I should probably ask my players, which do they prefer? If they prefer it all clustered together or if they prefer it broken up. Okay. Okay. So I want to get to expeditions. So, all right, here's tier. So that was tier 1. So this is just for tier 1 items. You got to roll a DC 10. If we get to tier 2, I believe there's 3 tiers. Tier 2, you get to plants, sidewinders, nightshade, bloodvine, rabbit string, cypress mint, honey mint. And fruits, you get blueberries, mirage melon, and honey melon. The mirage melon is I want to say that's a Star Wars reference. Tier 3, we have Pegasus horn, dragon nettle, blighted mushroom, death cap, wolf's bane, garlic, and devil's shoestring. For these, for each tier. For tier 2, it's a 15, a DC 15. For tier 3, it's a 20 or higher. And then there's also the expedition value, if I didn't bring that up yet. Expedition value. Then we go to mining, which is strength-based or survival-based, depending on which stat you want to focus, or which stat you're using to gather minerals. And we have, under mining, we have rocks. We have solid rock, or solid stone, coarse stone, lignite, lignite, I don't know, lignite ore, and bituminous ore. And then we have anthracite ore. Anthracite is, even though it's under like tier 1 stuff, it does have a higher DC requirement to get it. So that one's a little bit wonky. Then minerals, we have copper, lead, tin, bronze, cobalt, and iron. And then, again, still in tier 1, we have true iron, dark iron, steel, true steel, titan steel, oberium, silver ore, gold ore, and elverium ore. And these are all DC 20 to harvest. So this is technically like a tier 3. And then we have arcane gathering. This is what I was saying about dusts. So there's sands of time, arcane dust, enchanted dust, rune dust. Then there's also, under the category of arcane gathering, you also have mana crystals, Kukra heart crystal, a Silraya eye crystal, a Quailor firestone, and a Fexelra moon crystal, Oberium onyx crystal, Venom Howl's blood crystal, Sissel's brass crystal. Then we have Tyrannus' sunstone, Catlana's kiss ruby, Terran's topaz, Neomar's sapphire, a plexus diamond, Pohistales emerald. And then I have the rules for doing expeditions with arcane gathering. Did I don't think. Oh yeah, okay. Here's the mining one. So mining, I think, is the highest yield, right? 6 die. No. Yeah. Mining has 7. And yeah, so mining has 7. And then we have some meat down here, or hunting, not just meat. Got meat there. Oh yeah, hunting. Derp, it's going to be meat. And we have fishing. Fishing is under the umbrella of meat. So I put some scrimpi in there. Everyone loves scrimpi. Who doesn't love scrimpi? And then they have the option for some of these rare drops. Here's some fun things that I added to the rare drops. Every time they fish, they have to roll 1d100. And if they get, there's a chance, a really slim chance, that they can get a perfect black pearl or a perfect white pearl. And these are really good to have. If you don't want them in my game, you can sell them for 400 gold. Let me read off. Here's what the perfect black pearl does as a passive. When your health would drop below 0, instead your health drops to 1, and the remaining damage is converted into temporary health. This effect can only occur once per charge. To recharge this effect, a spellcaster must spend 1 level 4 spell slot, and the pearl requires 7 days to fully recharge its effect. Its second passive. Death saves cannot critically fail. Third passive. If you die while possessing a black pearl, you may recreate your character in the form of an undead character. Skeleton, zombie, banshee, ghoul, mummy, revenant, white, or vampire. Talk to the DM if you wish to proceed with this. Passive number 4 is it? Undead that hold the perfect black pearl cannot die by any means and will revive to full health 8 hours later. Value 400 gold. And then you have the perfect white pearl. Passive. You can re-roll a single die's roll in play until you get the result you want. This effect can only occur once per charge. To recharge this effect, the caster must spend 1 level 4 spell slot on the pearl and requires 7 days to fully recharge its effect. Passive 2. Gain +1 to all skills you already are proficient with. Passive 3. Gain 2 extra hit points every level up. And value 400 gold. I also have the Scroll of Aplexus here, which is another rare drop. It's a 1% drop or a 2% drop, 79 or 80%. If the die lands on either of those, the Scroll of Plexus gives you a level up. It can only be used once every 5 levels. They can get a bounty chest. This is all from fishing, by the way. Contains 500 gold pieces. I remember how I said earlier how like 1 gold is a lot. So this is stuff that is worth a lot of money that you could get just from fishing. Then we have a perfect shell. Non-combat. You can switch any 3 skills you are proficient with 3 other skills you are not proficient with. Once used, this shell breaks into pieces. So it's a one-time use. Here's what a white pearl does. Free action. You automatically critically succeed on your next roll. Once per combat encounter. Passive. Gain +1 hit point every level up. Black pearl. Free action. Reroll 1 critical fail per combat encounter. Passive. Death saves cannot critically fail. Value 100 gold. Then we have Black Caiman, Ichthyosaurus, Diplocalus. These things have different things that they can do. So Diplocalus, when you consume it, you gain +1 feet to spend on your next level up. Restrictions do not stack. Only 1 per level can be traded. Or 1 per level. It can also be traded. So you can give that to another player if you want. You can give the Diplocalus to another player. The Ichthyosaurus, gain +2 ability points to spend on your next level up. Restriction does not stack, only 1 per level. Black Caiman, upon consuming, gain a reroll of your hit points on your next level up. Restrictions do not stack, only 1 per level. So if, say, you roll your hit die and it's not a nat 10, you can re-roll it. Okay. Then I go into, here's some of the fun stuff I have. This is the stuff that when I was talking to my brother about his game, this is the stuff that he was directly ripping off of. And I said, go for it. Like, just do it shamelessly. Just do it. I don't care. Use it. You know, if it makes your game better, if it makes your players have fun, good. Just do it. I encourage it. So if you're watching this video and you're like, hey, I need some ideas for my crafting system, or I want to introduce some items, do it. My alchemy here is some really good stuff that I added. Very helpful. This is also why you want to keep the price values in reason, because there is such thing as pricing things out of reach of the players. One of my problems with the baseline D&D 5e specifically is like a healing potion for like 1d4 healing is a freaking like 50 gold. And most games, you only start with like 10. And there's a reason for that. Like, I get it. But, you know, for my encounters, for how I play D&D or how I dungeon master in D&D, my players need healing. Because I am throwing, I don't want to say everything, but I'm throwing stuff at them that challenges them. I throw stuff at them that they need to use the tools that I'm giving them. And it's always hilarious to me. And like only like 2 of my players have ever caught on that it's like, oh, wow, look at all this stuff the DM is giving us. Oh, wait, if he's giving us this stuff, there's probably a reason he's giving us this stuff. And it's like, yes, there's definitely a reason. There's a reason why there's a potion that removes fear. There's a reason why that potion exists. And some of the stuff you might look at it like, well, maybe not, maybe. From my first game, my first fair game here that you see, from this one, my one player, Winston, in my DC Vertigo game, he was in both this one and he was in DC Vertigo. He had learned, make sure you pack supplies and prep for some of the random stuff that I will throw at him or throw at the party. So he would grab, like I said before, how he would grab a pickaxe, a shovel. He would grab little knickknacks and oddball things, a bottle of Vaseline, because you never know. Like, if I'm putting it in a store, you never know when I'm going to throw something at you, and that little doohickey is going to be really handy to have offhand. And it's sometimes funny because I don't anticipate when players are going to do that. So sometimes a player, I'll think, okay, I got this in the bag. And the player bought that item several sessions back. And I wasn't anticipating that they would just suddenly pull that out. You know, sometimes they leave it at home. Sometimes they bring it with. It's hilarious to me. You know, and I don't know when they're going to do it. And sometimes they're like, you know what? I really wish I remembered to bring that with. You know, they left something at home. You got rejuvenation potions, fire potions. One of the things I did before, reason why this is 2.0 is one of the things I used to do before is, in order to level up the potions, the players had to have the previous potion. So, like, here's the Ember potion. Well, in order to make the Flamethrower potion, you had to make the Ember potion. And like I said before about learning from your mistakes, if you make these things too complicated, the players are going to say, fuck that, I'm not doing it. And I don't want to do that. I want to encourage the players to use the crafting system. So the method I've taken to is giving the players multiple ways to do the same thing. So, like, right here, you have the Ember potion and the Flamethrower potion. Both of them require the same resource. The difference is what the DC is to craft it. But if you look at the Fire Blast and the Pyro Blast, they require different resources. So the players might say, we need a Flamethrower potion, but we don't have the red leaf to make it. We need the red leaf to make healing potions. So, but we do have a fire crystal, and we can't use fire crystals to make healing potions, but we can use a fire crystal to make a fire blast potion. So let's make a fire blast potion. Got some oracle potions, poison potions, enhancement potions, mana potions, acid potions, water potions. Then we have flasks. Flasks would give the party members a huge boost. They did all kinds of weird, fun things. flask of spell weaving, flask of war. Then we have some transmutation things. This is the stones I was telling you about earlier that were like they were like cell phones. Transcommunications rune. So they weren't stones; they were runes, but they were basically a rock, and they would use them to communicate over long distances. And then they had different rune stones. Endurance runestone, power health runestones, natural runestone, undeath runestones, translocation runestone, that's for teleporting, return runestone, that's to teleport back to wherever you wanted, wherever you set the marker, powerful mana runestone, restorative mana runestones, natural mana runestone, illuminating mana runestones, create quiver of arrows, cantrip runestone, Sorcerer's Runestone, Arcane Runestone, Solaris Runestone, Uton Runestone, Tankard of Oil, Container of Oil, Barrel of Oil, Ilvarium Thermite. Go to Armor. These are the rules basically to craft the baseline armor. And basically what you would do, if I recall, so for this game, each armor suit had 3 key components to it, 3 mod slots. They had the armor core, the armor layer, and the armor plating. And if it had required, that would be the area you had to have some stat or some modifier to it. So you would pay attention for what these were called. So here's a thunder core. So you couldn't put a thunder core into a armor plating or into a layer, an armor layer. You'd have to put a core to a core. We have a cleric layer, slayer layer, survival layer, thunder plating, radiant plating. I really should redo this just to make it neater, but this is the contrast of how I did it then versus how I did it, how I do it now for Star Wars. Oh, did I? I think it's under blacksmithing or weaponsmithing. No, actually. So that was light armors. Here's medium armors. Medium armor goes through the same thing. And as you go down, you get more resistances and better quality armor. Even going into shields. Yeah, I really should do this if I decide to pick this game up again. All right, then let's go to pure blacksmithing. Okay. That's going to be a lot to your eyes to take in. Yeah, this is what I was thinking of. So this has the details and outlines of what each attributes were, and this is a very interesting, very complicated crafting system that I came up with here. So I'm not sure if I want to go into that right now. It's broken down into tiers. So this is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and okay, here gets to the regular crafting of it. So this is more like my typical Star Wars crafting, which you saw with the general crafting. Now we have like weaponry, ammo, one of the rules I had with this game is that pure blacksmithing is, or I should say, with all crafting, everyone can dabble with the entry level of that crafting system. So if it's on the tier 1 scale and you have some general knowledge in that field, like say you're an herbalist, you might know some level of tier 1 alchemy based on what your profession is and what your class is. So if you're like a wizard, you might have some knowledge of alchemy. Well, blacksmithing is one that if you are a armor smith or a weaponsmith, you have access to the tier 1 pure blacksmith, which allows you to make ammo and darts and things like that. Caltrops, disarm kits, these things like that. When you get to tier 2, you start getting to more specialized ammo. So silver bullets, cobalt bullets, black powdered shells, Drake fire shells, shrapnel bullets, silver arrows, silver bolts. It becomes a little bit more niche in what the blacksmith is good at. Devil's Trap, razor grips, hellfire goggles, bolter disc. And then tier 3, you get bore ammunition, tri-cobalt bullets, 24-pound cannonballs, a clay hole, which is basically a claymore, a claymore explosive to be specific. It's not a claymore sword. Recoiling chain, shield recoiling chain. The recoiling chain and shield recoiling chain were because someone wanted to make their character like Captain America, where they could throw their shield and have it come back to them. So I added the shield recoiling chain. I figured, well, if you could do that with your shield, you could also do that with your weapon. So I let them have the choice if they want to do that to their weapon as well. And then they get cherry bombs as well. And we have weaponsmith. Weaponsmith here is what you'd expect. A lot of this stuff is ripped like directly from the book. There isn't much changed from it. And this was one that I liked. The tier 3, the future of warfare. This actually has some really high class weaponry. So it has like a musket. It has psychic laser guns, elven phoenix fire carbine, dwarf drake gun, or drac gun, which is some fire pistols. Dwarf trench shotgun, blunderbuss, hand cannon, dwarf dragon, which is a flamethrower, Springfield trapdoor, martini lever, and a forward rail, which is the forward rail isn't a gun. That's a modification. There's the burst fire and the automatic fire. So these were things I added. Actually, I'm sorry. The burst fire and automatic fire, these are rules. These aren't, because some of the weapons above have burst fire and they have automatic fire. So these were rules. If a player wants to use those weapons or obtain those weapons, they have to follow them. Got chef. Got pie, cake, donuts, pudding, bread, salad, whole grains, rice, meatball, jerky rations, sausage, mashed potatoes. Then we have some steak, pork, chicken soup, vegetable soup, or meaty stew. And I have these things do all kinds of different things in this game. So you'll see here on the right, like steak restores hit points. Like each of them restore a different amount of hit points, but they also restore a resource So this is a way that I've encouraged players to eat in my world. So you might have your fighters who are playing what is it, a gladiator type? Probably not gladiator. I'm thinking of the wrong one. But who's using the battle master. I'm sorry, the battle master fighter, who has his superiority die. Well, if he eats steak, he recovers one of those superiority dice. So this is it to encourage him to have food ready. Don't be afraid to eat, because when you take your short rest, you can recover some more superiority die. And likewise, like for a paladin, eating some chicken soup, you get 5 charges of lay on hands. Chicken soup for a barbarian, you recover 1 rage. Some good stuff. If you're a fighter who's a gunfighter, you would get 1 grit for eating some pork. Chicken soup, vegetable soup, meaty stew. All 3 of these restore ki. Oh, noodle soup too. They restore ki points. You have action surge. Noodle soup will restore action surge. Vegetable and meaty stew will also recover sorcery points. So the idea here is that encourage the players to eat like a normal human being, and by them eating, they're able to, role playing, they're able to actually be a normal person. In my first End Times game, or not End Times, my first fair game, my first 5e, one of the players, Benefactor, he had said to the rest of the party, I assumed you guys didn't eat anything because I never saw you guys eat anything. So when he made food for himself, he only made it for himself because no one else was interested in eating at all. They didn't even talk about it. They weren't concerned about it. They weren't thinking about it at all. And he had been with them for about a day or two. So he's looking at them like they don't eat, they don't sleep, or they sleep, but they don't eat, they don't drink, they just walk around endlessly. Again, that's like video game logic. It's like you're not worried about your character eating or drinking, you're just constantly on the move. And your character probably does those things when you take a rest or when you log off the game. So that was a neat little jab that he did at the other players. I liked it. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna draw from Star Wars Galaxies, that game, where they actually gave you buffs for eating. And that's where I base this off of, is you get in Star Wars Galaxies, you get buffs based on eating. And you can get a crafting buff, you can get a combat buff, give you all kinds of buffs. And it makes your character like normal. I don't like the Ark Survival Evolved approach, the survival game approach to it, where it's like, you get hungry, and when you get hungry, you start suffering all sorts of penalties and debuffs and things like that. I don't like that. My justification for not liking that is very, very simple. And it's my opinion like this for every video game. So like not to go on a tangent about like Call of Duty and things like that, but my problem with a lot of these games is when they try, you know what? Let me put this game on blast. You know what? Let's do that. Let's put this game on blast. Because I have just the game that I want to blast. Sorry if I'm about to go on a tangent here. Come on. Waiting for this thing. Moving at the speed of the browser, mainly Google. Come I want one of these big, nice. Let's go with screen. Wallpaper. That's what I want. I'm gonna blast something. I want you to see it. All right, here we go. Finally. Let's put this up here. All right. This game. This freaking game. Hell Let Loose. All right. This is a game that I don't want to imitate in any of my fucking games. Okay? This game is called Hell Let Loose. And if you can't tell based on its artwork here, it's a World War II first-person shooter. All right? It's supposed to be authentic World War II experience. It's gritty, it's realistic, it's all of that, right? Okay. Here's my problem with these games. Whenever a game tries to be quote unquote realistic, all right, they do this thing where realistic, quote unquote, means you're a 90-pound 13-year-old playing a video game with a controller, and you're not a 210, 6'2" Army veteran or Army soldier trained for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 14 weeks at boot camp, and then you're deployed out into the field. They treat you like you're that 13-year-old kid picking up and walking around this 8-pound, 12-pound rifle or machine gun. All right. So your character gets like thrown all over the place over any little thing. Your character runs out of breath in 2 seconds. Your character can't crawl at certain angles. Your character struggles. The recoil knocks your character completely on their ass. And it's like, if you've done any of these things, or if you've seen other people do these things, you can see that a lot of this quote unquote realism isn't realistic at all. It's, again, based on, oh, you're a 13-year-old kid playing a video game, and this is what it would be like for you. It's not based on what a real soldier would experience. So whenever these games do this stuff where they say, oh, it's realistic, I take issue with it because, no, it's not realistic. When you say realistic, you're just adding an excuse to make the game stupid. That's it. You're like, hey, we want the game to have prone block because whatever. Oh, your gun you can't shoot a wall with your gun. Your gun's going to realistically point up at the air because that's all you know how to do with your gun when you're pointing it at the wall. It's just immediately point it up in the air. You know, you wouldn't put it down. You just point it up in the air. You wouldn't put it to the side. You put it up in the air. So that's what this game is. That's what's stupid about this game. Oh, that's one of the things that's stupid. The other thing that's stupid about it is it's more so a respawn simulator, because the moment you die, you have to go through. Some genius thought of this as a great idea. He's like, this is what the players want. They want to spend their time going through 2, not 1, 2 death screens. So when you die in this game, okay, this is just server defaults. I'm sure you could change it on your own server, but server defaults, when you die, you have a 15-second respawn. Now you're like, awesome, I respawn. No. You just got past your first respawn. See, once you're done that 15-second wait timer, then you have to go to the company spawn, which is a 60-second respawn timer. And I don't remember if that could be a little bit more of a variable Like it's a constant countdown. And so you have to wait the 15 seconds and then you come in. You might be able to get in at the 2 second and spawn with everyone else, which is the other thing. When you spawn with everyone else, which has its pluses and negatives to it. Okay. I think realistically, that is realistic. You come in with your allies. You don't just spawn and you're by yourself. They're not like, hey, you one guy here, go up and reinforce the entire front line. Like that, like, okay. But then if that's the system you're going with, that's realistic, then why are you letting people just spawn at a distance and all over the map from these little mobile spawn points that we can put up? It's stupid. It's stupid. So thank you for humoring me on that rant. I'm sure if we had people, they probably would have left the stream. They would have been like, fuck this. I don't want to hear this guy ranting about some video game. But it's like I said, it's why I don't do the quote unquote realism thing for a game mechanic. I let me, the DM, decide what would be realistic and what's not. And I'll let the players decide. I'll let the players argue, like, okay, give me a case. And then I might rule in their favor. I might rule against them. I might say, there's some things you don't know. Or maybe this is a magic circumstance. It depends on the circumstance. It depends on what's going on. I don't want to come up with a game mechanic to be like, oh, this is realistic. So, realistic would be like, okay, in order to build your tank or your vehicle, you got to manufacture the turret by gathering resources. You have to gather the resources, purify the resources. Then you got to forge the resources into a thing. You got to make sure you grab 50 different resources or units of these different resources to make just the turret. Then you got to grab 50 other different resources to build up to make the body. Then you put the body and the turret together. Then you got to get 50 other resources. No, fuck that. Fuck that. Now I'm thinking about it. Let me see something. Okay. So yeah, there was my rant. And let me bring it back to my crafting sheet here. So now we have enchanter. I like this enchanting system. This is one of them that I did that this is one of the things I did, and I implemented this sort of with my Star Wars game, sort of. But I have it so that you can upgrade your enchants. So when you get the baseline, when you first get the enchant, it's cheap. The DC is easy to get. And then it's like, boom, there you go. These are weapon enchants. So there's Wind Fury, Slam, Cleaving Swipe, Pulse Fire, Primordial Flow, Life Steal, Magic Arrow, Whisper, Skull Shot, Imbued Ammunition, Mongoose. And then there are other enchants here. These are just basically flat damage buff enchants. They don't do anything spectacular. They're not a proc chance to do something awesome or powerful. These are body enchants. You only get one per person. And these are basically supposed to affect the player's gaming style. Like here's the new type. You gain Flash of Insight, granting you use of one ability out of 4 choices. 2 charges per day. Savior, you roll 3 separate d6s. These dice you can add to any roll throughout the round so long as the target is within 15 feet of you. They can be stacked on the same roll if you so choose. That's at level 1. Level 2, you get Morale. Allies within 25 feet of you heal for 6d6. That's all of your allies. Level 3, Bastion. Grant resistance to all allies, or for all allies within 25 feet of the caster for 1 round. Level 4, Paragon. Allies, so this is when you cast it on an ally. Whenever an ally within 25 feet critically fails, you can aid that ally, helping them recover their failure, allowing them to re-roll. This is if you do it to an enemy. Whenever an enemy within 25 feet critically fails, you can counterattack with a spell, ranged attack, or melee attack, depending on circumstances. You can use this Paragon effect a number of times equal to your highest stat modifier. That is crazy good, because if you opt, because even though you have 2 charges of new type, with Paragon, if you choose to use 1 charge of new type on Paragon, you get however many uses. Let's say your highest stat is Constitution and it's a +5. You can use Paragon up to 5 times. So you can prevent 5 critical fails on your team, or you can capitalize on 5 critical fails from your enemy, or a combination thereof. One of my players actually had this one, and she used it very effectively when she used it. Sometimes, there were several times she didn't use it, but when she finally realized its power, she actually began turning some tides with it. Fey Spirit, that goes into some meaty details there. Rune forging. So here was something one of the players was getting into, was runes. Runes are typically done as a form of enchanting, but also as boons given to you by gods. And so these things can have some pretty nasty drawbacks to them. So, for example, you can convert health into attack. So you can convert up to, in this case, let's say a level 3 Deadpool. You can convert 70 hit points to gain +7 to attack. And you might say, well, why would you do that? I don't know. Maybe you want to. You want that 7 to attack. You really want to hit the enemy. You might have healing. You might, when you hit the enemy, you heal. I don't know. All right. Yeah, here's one. Frozen Heart. Your weapon leeches from the soul of your target, reducing their stats. You may choose which stat is leached. This effect lasts until you choose to end it, and it can only affect one target at a time. You can affect their physical stats. This is at level 1. their physical stats. So if you affect strength, it's -2, dexterity -2, constitution -2. Basically, it's -2 across the board. The weakest stat basically going here at level 2. Let's go at level 3. Level 3, -6 strength, -5 dexterity. So dexterity doesn't get to be really hindered by this ability. -6 constitution, -6 intellect, -6 wisdom, -5 charisma. So mental stats, charisma is the one that this thing doesn't affect very well. Then we have, a law rune. Yeah, so this one, there were runes. Blood rune, frost rune, law rune, and chaos rune. I didn't really get to add more chaos runes, but there were 2 law runes I was able to add. Lawbringer and Soulburn. And we go to Scribe. This is one that, remember I said before, my friend Winston, his character was a scribe in this 5e campaign. So he was able to make all kinds of scrolls. And let me see if I can find the one scroll. There's a particular scroll. Oh, and this also, you could level up your skills using, if you had a scribe. So that was very important to have a scribe. I don't see it. I might not have added it at the time. Or with my reinvention of it, I probably got rid of the scroll and didn't add it again. One of the scrolls I added, I'll tell you what I added. It was a Stonewall scroll. And that's one of those items that I completely did not anticipate the players using when they did. They pulled out that scroll, used the Stonewall to block off a path, and they created a funnel, a choke point on a battlefield so that the enemy had to come around the wall to get to them. And they were able to actually narrow down the enemy's method of attack. They had also used it previously to get away, I think, from some velociraptors that were trying to kill them. They managed to put up the wall to protect their healer, and then they corralled the velociraptors and began killing them. And we have, this is a subclass of scribe called the Body Ink. This is a tattoo artist. So I let the players interpret what their tattoos look like, what they are. I just come up with a general description of what the tattoo is. So like, here's Make Love. Increases maximum health based on the level of the ability. So 2 max health, an additional 4, an additional 6, additional 8. And then Sword and Wings is a free action, deal extra radiant damage to an attack. Requires long rest before it can be used again. So these are like tiny little things that can give the player a buff to something. Just a tiny little buff, you know. Like here's one, the Sun Elf Tribe. Restores 1 spent spell slot of your choice. Requires a long rest before it can be used again. So restore a level 1 spell slot, a level 1 or level 2 spell slot, a level 1 or a level 3, or level 1 to 3, level 1 to 4. So Wood Elf Tribe, you can roll this die and then add it to any attack or physical damage roll on your turn. So 1d6, 1d8, 1d10, 1d12. Moon Elf Tribe, they get a stealth bonus. It's just a flat stealth bonus. Drow, they get a perception bonus, just a flat perception. Dwarfs, they get a profession bonus, just a flat profession. You have the Dory Brewfist. Your next alcoholic drink cannot get you drunk. After using this feature, you cannot use it again until after a long rest. You have 1 charge per day. You have 2 charges per day, 3 charges per day. Advantage on saving throws against alcohol. So you get 3 charges at level 4. You'd have 3 charges and also advantage on saving throws against alcohol. And then you have the Dark Dwarf brand. Removes fire damage. So you can actually reduce fire damage taken. Then there's Fey Love, allows socialization with animals. Fey Harmony. When you start your turn, you can regenerate mana. Goblin Slayer, you gain bonus damage or bonus features against goblins. Skull Mask. That's a little bit more detail. I'm not going to go read enough of that. Reaper, we have Killing Blows. One moment. All right. Now let me see. I have some more stuff here. All right. Scroll Keeper. This is probably the one I was thinking of. Yeah, here we go. Here we are. This goes into some cool ones. So object identification. Everyone knows scroll of identification. Town Portal. Protection. Healing Touch. Healing Circle. Fleeting. Restore mana. Stonewall. Here we are. This is the one that he was using. So he was a Scroll Keeper. That's what this one's called. Create a stone wall with 20 HP and 10 AC that fills out 5 to 20 feet. So 1 to 4 spaces of space. Action, it's a use item. Yeah. I think they also wanted to use Waterfall at one time. I think they had the Waterfall scroll. I can't remember if they used it. Benefactor would remember if they had they used the Waterfall one. These are more advanced scrolls. So there's Quickness, Anti-Magic Shell, Return Vector, Double Up, Anti-Magic Zone, Spirit Link. And then these are personal scrolls that are unique. Only scroll keepers can use them. Tailoring. These are different outfits I came up with for them. So Swamp Hermit, Mystic outfit, Outlander, Snow Garb, Desert, Frontiersman, Raider, Sage, Minuteman, Peasant. Also included bandages, rope, towel, saddles. And then there's adaptations. These are basically mods for the outfits. And then there's light armor as well. NPC abilities. I'm not going to go into NPC abilities. Actually, I can. These ones I can. Let me hold up. Let me. These are NPC abilities that the players could. In my game, the players got these XP bars, these extra XP bars for the NPCs, and what they could do is spend those things to buff NPCs. So this right here is Critias. This is Timaeus's familiar. So he had all these different buffs. He could get his own. He could get Critias, and make Critias have some all kinds of neat little bonuses and things to him. Here is one. Garrick. He's the guy that I mentioned, I think last week or the week before. They call him Blue Skin. And he was basically a Jedi consular in that game. He was a Jedi consular in the medieval era. So, and he was a chiss. So everyone looked at him like, this guy looks weird. And it didn't help that his lightsaber that he had, it was, no one had ever seen it before. So his lightsaber was, it did radiant damage, and it would just annihilate everything because hardly anything has radiant resistance. And they basically pigeonholed him because what he was good at is healing. So they basically stuck him as a heal bot, but they actually right here, one of my players spent some XP and leveled him up to recover 1 vitality at the start of his turn. In Standard 5e, those of you who play Standard 5e, you guys know you have HP. In Star Wars D20, the version I use, they have vitality and wound points. Well, in this game, in this 5th edition game, Garrick had a ability, basically, that said when he levels up, he doesn't gain hit points. His hit points instead get converted into vitality, and his hit points are stuck at whatever his constitution score is. So I made it mirror the Star Wars D20. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. So Garrick, all of his powers, whenever he healed someone, whenever he attacked someone with his magic or his force powers, which to everyone else it was magic, but to him it was the force. Whenever he used those things, he had to drain from his vitality to do it. That again is referencing to this Star Wars D20, which the Jedi work the exact same way in Star Wars D20. And then there's Evelyn. No one likes her, so they didn't do anything with her. Solomon. People liked him, but they didn't really need him. Wariv. Scaver. Quarky. Everyone liked Quarky. So they went with, they got the hospitality room. While many of his activities are considered unlawful, Quarky is a professional brewery owner and thus has the reputation on both sides of the law, granting him strategic advantage on the market. Interesting characters may show up in his bar, people with information and knowledge to share. Bonus: while in Quarky's bar, you recover 1 hit point for every round. Bonus: Morny is a loyal customer who will always talk your ear off if you let him. Then there is Bijou. Bijou is probably the most beloved character in that game. I would say she probably is. They got Tinker. As a bonus action, Bijou grants an ally's ranged weapon a bonus of 1d10 plus int. That's her intellect, not the target's intellect. They can choose to apply to their ranged weapon attack or their damage. This bonus must be declared where it is applied before the rolls are made. Additionally, Bijou can spend a charge to make a vehicle speed plus 20 feet or a Warforged move plus 10 feet for 1 round. Vehicle damage plus 1d10 plus int for a number of rounds equal to Bijou's int. Bijou can do this ability a number of times equal to her intellect plus her proficiency per day on after a long rest. That's some terrible writing grammar. She recovers the lost charges. So, yeah, that makes her a really, really nifty companion to have with you on your adventures. There's Brachus and Graves. Oh, I'm sorry. And then we also have Ivanhoe. We have Ruhara and Azaria and B3S7. These are some of the new characters that the party was getting introduced to. And right about when we stopped playing. So they didn't really get a chance to see what these guys' abilities were. And then I have character feats. I came up with character feats for these guys. Oh, I also came up with Leo had his own feats. So Leo got he got to choose, I think, 2. He got to choose 2, and he opted for Legendary Hero. Actually, I don't think he got to choose this. I think I gave this to him. So, Legendary Hero, I think I gave him. Description: Slayer of the Crow Lord and Champion of Shavas, Leo Underhill's name shall forever be known as the glorious individual that liberated the world from a great evil. Leo gains +2 to all saving throws. He has Spirit of the Wind. Once every 7 days, Leo can invoke the spirits of the wind, pulling magic into an area around himself of 60 feet to restore a number of spell slots equal to his wisdom times 4 and to the highest level of charisma. Leo can disperse this magic energy between all allies within range. Then he has Helpful Nature. I think this one he took. With a Curious Nature and Aptitude for Trying, Leo's impact has a morale-boosting effect to those lives he touches. Leo's help actions grants a 1d6 plus addition to advantage, or in addition to advantage. He has a +2 to Charisma, cannot exceed the character limit of 20. He gains +2 to his skill he has proficiency in. And yeah, these are just some great things that he could have had. Oh, here's one. Apex Predator. Description: The Katarn are the apex predator of Kashyyyk. Their numbers must be frequently purged to avoid overcrowding of the dominant predator. Left to their own devices, these beasts could inflict a significant impact on an ecosystem. That gives him the ability of Fierce Warrior. As a dodge action, Bren reduces all damage she takes until the start of her next turn by 3d6 plus con. In addition, she gains an attack of opportunity against the first attacker that fails to hit her until the start of her next turn. Pounce. As an attack during an attack action, Bren can pounce on a small prey, forcing them to make a strength save DC 18. On a failed save, they are knocked prone and take a claw attack damage, or half as much on a successful save. Cold-Blooded Logic. As a bonus action and reaction, Bren can make a bite attack against a creature that is prone within 10 feet of her. In addition, due to her size, Bren gains advantage on intimidation checks against larger-sized creatures. Bren is one of Leo's pets. Oh, his other one is Heart of the Wild, which is another buff to Bren. Yeah, that's another one of his buffs to Bren. I might be wrong. He might have picked the Legendary Hero. I thought I gave that to him, but he probably picked that. Oh, it is 2 hours and 30 minutes into the stream. All right. Well, I think this is a good place to wrap up. I have Artist there. I'm not going to go over Artist. I think I gave you guys enough content. Got to show you off a bunch of my shops. Got to show you all 3 shops: the Star Wars, Cypher, or DC Vertigo in Cypher, and my Fair End Time /Fair campaign for 5e. So I think I will wrap it up there. I appreciate you guys sticking it out with me this long. And don't be afraid to like, share, subscribe, all those good things. Hit that notification bell. And yeah, I'm looking to do a little bit more with the channel. One of the things, I think I mentioned it last week. I think I'm gonna do some writing, and I think I'm gonna start doing some like audio readings and putting them up on the channel. I think that's something I'm gonna do, just to share some of my writing and perhaps create some fan fiction that is hopefully good and entertaining and might help give people some company on their drives places, I guess. I don't know. I'm definitely thinking on doing it live. So I'll live stream the reading, and if someone wants to go back and if they're on a car ride or something, they can do that. But that's what I'm definitely thinking about. I am certainly wanting to do it with Batman. So I am probably going to, I've been mulling around some ideas in my head for some Batman stories I wanted to do. Some, I think, interesting detective stories. And, I'm deciding how I want to format it. I'm going with the idea of maybe doing it like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle style with Sherlock Holmes, where it's like in comic book terms, it would be like a 2 or 3 pages a stream, maybe. I don't know. I probably should try reading one and timing myself to determine how long it will take me to read and how long should I write these things based on my reading. So that's what I'm thinking. So any thoughts on it, feel free to leave it in the comments or jump in a live stream and message me. Or I know, Niraj, you're a friend of mine, so you can message me or talk to me about it on Sunday or whenever we get a chance to meet up. But yeah, if you're watching this in the future, because I am in the past, feel free to add the comments and just be like, hey, try this, or hey, this is a good idea, do it. Because I appreciate the encouragement. But till then, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm Crusader Jackaran. Peace out.